I'm really excited for you guys to hear today's episode. I've got a very special guest, Emily Hirsh. She is an industry-leading Facebook ads manager. She is an industry-leading Facebook ads manager and sales funnel strategist who works with entrepreneurs to grow their businesses and generate revenue using proven Facebook and sales funnel strategies. And I've personally worked with their agency. They're awesome. So Emily, I'm just really glad that you're here. I'm excited for people to hear some of the behind the scenes of what is actually working today in Facebook ads. So thank you so much. I'm like excited.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So I would love to just kind of start, if there's anything else from that intro that you want to fill in, and just kind of letting us know like who you are and how you got started. I feel like people need to get to know you a little bit.
Totally. Yeah. So I've had my company for 3.5 years. My motivation was to really just start an online business. Well, just work online really is how it started, because I was pregnant with my son. So I actually just started as a virtual assistant and like $18 an hour. This was just like 3.5 years ago.
That is so crazy.
Yeah. Virtual assistant, and learned like every platform out there, got thrown into digital marketing because that's kind of the clients that I started serving, and then started doing Facebook ads for those clients, and just a lot of like self-taught and experience. It was definitely something that came really naturally to me. So I loved it, and I just was like eating it all up. And so then I pivoted and just did Facebook ads on my own, like taking probably 10, 12 clients on my own, doing everything from the copy to the actual ads to the strategy, and like way too much, like overwhelmed.
And you're doing it all by yourself?
Yeah. And the last year and a half is really where I focused on growing my team. So now my team's at 24 people. We have over 60 clients, 9 ads managers, and I don't actually do the ads anymore. I do the big picture strategy, but I shifted and was like, if I want to keep growing, I got to grow my team. And so that's what I really started focusing on, and big picture strategy. And so, we work with, coaches, influencers, entrepreneurs selling digital online products, doing ads, Instagram, Facebook, and then big picture strategy as well for their funnels.
So good. And you guys are amazing at what you do. And you've built it so quickly, but I think it just goes to show how in demand that is and how confusing Facebook ads can seem.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm curious, because a lot of the people who listen to the show are newbies, or maybe they're network marketers, and they're just like not sure how to even get started or if they're ready to begin with Facebook ads. So I'm just curious, how do you know when it's time to get started using paid traffic?
Yeah. I think that like people can start earlier than they think they can. And so there's a few things. Like the first kind of step in our process is like strategize. So you need to have a customer journey in place to really get started with Facebook ads. Like, because if you don't know that, you're not setting yourself up for success. And like, okay, if you're going to send somebody to an opt-in, what's going to happen? How are you going to make your money back? How much are you going to spend? All of those questions you should know. But if you don't have that in place yet, it doesn't mean you can't do video and content and visibility content and promote it so new people can see it, so that 6 months from now or 3 months from now, when you're ready to like run ads to an actual funnel, you have this data and like this following that you've started to grow. And so that's generally my recommendation to people is like we kind of separate like social media and ads, and then you think, oh, I'll just go post on social media or do videos. And then we get discouraged because nobody sees them because the organic reach algorithm is terrible. So if you combine that and you start just promoting those posts, like make a list of just do page likes that people would like, that, because it's the most accurate way to start. And just start showing it to people so they start seeing it, and you start building this following. It'll pay off so much when you're ready to like get really serious about ads. And then as soon as you have a funnel and like a clear customer journey, that's when you're also really ready for ads and to get paid traffic in there.
So important. And I'm really glad that you brought up running like page ads, because I know for a lot of newbies, that is where they start. They'll do the like page ads. And I know even within the network marketing world, one of the strategies that is taught to them is to run like page ads or boost posts, and then just DM and send messages to every person who has liked or commented or whatever. So I'm just curious, from an ads expert perspective, is that a good place to start, or is that like a big no-no?
So I would say like video is the best. Like video
Cool.
is the top. Like if you can do video, Facebook Live and promote that, that would be my recommendation. If for some reason, like I know you might be
Yeah.
nervous about doing it, still do it. Like you can go do it and get better at it. Like page ads are okay. Here's the reason I don't love them is because when you go create an ad for people to like your page, like the objective is I want to get as many page likes as I can for as cheap as possible. That's like what you're telling Facebook when you go set up this ad. So Facebook will then show your ad to people who like a lot of pages because they'll be more likely to like your page and it'll be cheaper. So a lot of the likes that you get, and to me too, like if someone just pushes like on a page, there's not really a commitment. There's not a connection. They don't even know maybe what they did and they like a lot of other pages. And so sure, maybe they'll, see your page and go look at your content, but most won't. They'll just click like. If they watch a video of you and they hear you and they see you and they connect with you, that's like 100 times more valuable. So that's why I'm way more about the video. And then the other thing with page likes is like, I don't know about messaging. If that works. Like the problem is it probably gets put in filters
Yeah.
for people a lot. So that's the problem with that. But then like if you get a bunch of likes and then as you know, if you do a post, like nobody sees it still. So you just paid for all these
Right.
likes. It's not guaranteed that people are going to see that content. So first thing would be like your own unique content because like page likes and the commitment that somebody has to make just to like your page is not very much, but if they read or engage or connect with you in like your own content, it'll be so much more powerful.
It's so true. And video is king. And are you guys seeing, obviously, Facebook Live's been around since probably like early 2016. What have you guys seen in the trends for live video versus just standalone ads?
Yeah, I mean, video is really great for two main things. The visibility, like awareness, connection piece where you're actually giving content is probably my favorite place to use it is just like consistent content on video. And
Yeah.
then sales, the sales piece, video is great for that. I don't see like we always test video, but like for a webinar ad or an opt-in, I'm seeing more that an image and text works better. I think because it's like click and opt in versus watch the video becomes the action sometimes. So for sales, like if you're trying to sell videos, great. We use it all through that, like abandoned cart, all those different sales ads that you can run. And then for visibility, that's the biggest piece because it's the best way, especially online, that you can build connection with people and relationships with people because otherwise, like, it's the next best thing to seeing them in person and having a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you're saying like testing all of these different things. And I think for some of the newbies, they're like, what do you mean test it? So I'm just like going to take things you're saying, like, let's break it down for people who are like completely ad illiterate. What does it look like to test an ad and how do you know if an ad is working?
Yeah. So, I mean, my answer all the time is test it. So people come to me and they're always like, well, is this the best strategy? And I'm like, I don't know, because here's the thing. Everybody has a unique business. Everybody has a unique ideal customer and client. Everybody has unique content and way people consume that content. And everybody has unique skills in how they deliver content. Like I feel like I'm pretty good at video. It comes naturally to me. I'm also good at writing. And so I do those things because I feel good about those. So everybody's different, right? So when I say testing, like let's say you're running ads to an opt-in or a webinar, you would run several different ads, like creative pieces of the ad. So one might be really long copy with an image. One might be short copy with an image. And one might be a video with different copy and headlines. And so you're comparing all these things. And then, I mean, the most accurate way to do it is to say, let's run all of these versions to the same exact audience and see which one gets the best results. It depends on your budget if you can do that, because that's like each one is kind of a different ad set. So you have to have like about $5 a day for each one to really accurately test it. But basically, like you're comparing, does video get more clicks and engagement, or does image, long copy, short copy get more clicks and engagement? And then you can take that information and use it down the line, because the more data that you have, the better you can make decisions in a year from now if you're still marketing.
So true. And so much of my audience and the people listening, they are relying solely on organic marketing strategies. And so the idea of having numbers that they can actually use to measure whether or not something is working is kind of this foreign concept. There's a lot of like throw spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks. That kind of worked. Now it's not working this launch. So I think what's so beautiful about this, and I hope that you guys hear this, is that when you're using Facebook ads, you get to look at actual numbers. So it's like being a scientist, and you're testing all of these different experiments to see which one actually works for your audience, so that you know not only what works in ads, but that's going to improve what you're doing on the organic marketing side, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I say, marketing is numbers at the end of the day.
Right.
To me, like, that's how I look at everything. It's like the budget, everything is decided by like hard data. And you may not have that in the beginning, but you can try and get averages or guess. And then at least you have something. Cause I hear all the time, like, well, I've run some Facebook ads, but I have no idea if they're successful. I don't even know what I was doing. I don't know if they're successful. And I've seen some cases where like somebody shows me what they did and I'm like, this was actually really good. You just spent 3 times. But about this, you would have gotten these results. Or it's a different scenario. It depends. So if you don't like know those numbers going into it, at least just like, okay, I'm going to pay, examples would be, I'm going to pay $3 for my opt-in lead, like to get their name and email address. And then what are you actually paying? And what do these audiences convert at? And what do these versions convert at? Because if you don't know that, it will feel like I have no idea what I'm doing and it's overwhelming. And then you just shut it off and you're like, I just don't want to do ads.
And I think what you're saying too, it's like when people are first starting their ad, knowing how much they want to spend or how much they're willing to spend to get a new lead. And by new lead, we're talking about to get an email address from someone. And then the other piece is having a clear objective for your campaign. So can you talk about that a little bit? Because I know there's some people who, when I have ad conversations, I'm like, well, are you running? They're like, well, I don't know if it's working because it did X, Y, and Z. I'm like, well, what kind of ad are you running? Is it for video views? Is it for conversions? They're like, what does that mean? I'm like, that's the first step.
I know. And it does get complicated if you don't dive into Ads Manager. I mean, obviously, like we live in there. So basically the way Facebook works is whenever you run an ad, there's an objective. And what that objective does is it's telling Facebook to optimize for that action. So it's the top ones are video views, link clicks, which would be like going to a place like your website or your blog or landing page. Conversion, which is like you actually want somebody to take an action when they get on that page. So opt in or become a sale. Those are the core ones. I'm trying to think if I missed one. There's like page. That's a separate one. There's a ton of options that are overwhelming, but those are like the core options. So, or engagement. Engagement is if you boost posts. Engagement means likes and comments and shares. So you have to think, it's really important when you set this ad up, what do you want the user to do? Because Facebook will show the ad differently based on the objective that you chose. It'll show it to people more likely to either click or convert because it has all this data on us already as users on Facebook that we convert a lot or we click a lot or we like pages a lot. So if you're running an ad, for example, to an opt-in or a webinar, your objective should be conversion because you want them to not only just click on that page and land there, but you actually want people who are going to sign up for whatever it is that you're offering. If it's a video, you want video views. And if it's, a post that you want people to see and engage with, and you want engagement. So you have to think about that objective before you set it up. The most common ones are really conversion or video views. Link clicks I would use for like blogs, just like getting traffic to a page. So, and people confuse it because if you go to boost a post, like the objective is engagement. You can't change it. So that's kind of why if you go into Ads Manager, you have control over these different objectives and setting it up and testing it. So boosting a post, it's automatically engagement, which is kind of a downside of that. So if you boosted a Facebook Live instead of video views, it's going to be engagement.
And video views are a lot cheaper if you set it up that way versus boosted post, right? For like live video. Yeah. So these are like the little nuanced things that I think there's some people that go into Ads Manager and they're like, oh, I think I got a handle on this. But then the more you do it, like even for myself, the more I've learned about like the tiny little things. Like I remember the day I realized that lookalike audiences were a thing. And I was like, what? I don't have to go in and do these boosted posts being like Facebook's like, who do you want to target? I'm like, people who like Starbucks. Like, ladies, you don't have to do that to try to like get new clients. So speaking of lookalike audiences, you guys are like obsessed with those too?
Yeah, they're the best. Yeah, I mean, because honestly, like at the end of the day, Facebook is smarter than any of us. Like the amount of data that it has on its users is pretty powerful. Like it's insane. From being able to like listen to it does that. Listen to our microphone. I don't know the extent it does it, but when I hear about that stuff, I just see like, wow, how powerful this is as a marketer. But lookalike audiences are basically you have to have data. So you either have to have an email list of people or video views of people who have watched your videos. visited your website. And so you create this audience that you have gotten somehow and on Facebook. And so you either upload the email list or it's triggered from your pixel. So you have this audience, and then you can create a lookalike and tell Facebook, go find me 1 million or 2 million more people that are just like these people. And they take into consideration everything from like age, location, the pages they like, the activity they use on Facebook, like way more than we could as a marketer in just like demographic targeting. And then they create you an audience, and they are 9 times out of 10 our top converting audiences, and so powerful because Facebook is smarter than us. So anytime that you can leverage that data that you're getting, that's why I'm saying run video ads for 3 months, cheap, but at least you'll have video views that then you can say, okay, my video view audience, the people who are watching 25% or 50%, make me 1 million more people of those, and I can target them to my funnel down the line.
That's huge. I hope you guys are hearing that, because you can literally give Facebook data and they will duplicate and go off and find people. You don't have to sit there and try to guess at the interests and guess at where they live and how old they are. Facebook is going to find you those ideal clients automatically. How long do you think, guys, it would take you to do that if you were doing this just with organic marketing? Like, it just doesn't even compare. And I think one of the things too that a lot of newbies don't understand about Facebook marketing and Instagram ads is that you want to be getting an ROI. Yes. So can you talk a little bit about what that should look like if it's a good campaign?
Yeah. So first you have to start with knowing what does that look like. So that's why I'm saying don't start ads to a funnel unless you know the customer journey. How are you going to make that money back? And then tracking it. So, you know, if it's a webinar, for example, or an opt-in, like what's happening to the lead after, and how many sales do you have to get to make money off of your ad spend? And so knowing your numbers is huge. Knowing how you're going to make the ROI back is huge. And then tracking it is huge, because I get so annoyed by like agencies and people out there who would just brag about the cost per lead. And then it's like, well, what actually is the cost per acquisition or the cost per purchase? Because I'll pay double for a lead if they buy and the other ones don't, right? So
absolutely,
yet narrow-mindedly look at Facebook and just like cost per lead or engagement. You need to see what's happening with those leads afterwards, and are they converting, and what percentage of them are converting. Because if you know those numbers, then you can project and you can confidently say, okay, I'm going to spend $1,000 this month or $2,000 this month on my budget, because I know I should get this out of it. And that's like the ultimate goal. Like that's what everybody's trying to achieve with marketing, is be able to project so that you can say, okay, 10,000 or whatever it ends up being to reach my goals.
Yeah. And I think there are people out there who it would not even enter their mind to spend $10,000 or $20,000 or $100,000 in Facebook ads. But I hope you guys hear what is being said here, that if you know your numbers, you can scale that up incrementally. And wouldn't you like a slot machine, essentially, where you could put in $1 and get back 10? Well, that's what's happening with Facebook ads, if you're doing it well.
Yeah. So you have to know your numbers, and not only know your numbers, but then know how it converts as you go through the funnel is so important, because sometimes it's not even the Facebook ads that aren't working. If you look at things, it's your webinar show up rate or your email open rate or what are your sales, you know. So knowing where the holes are and then plugging those holes instead of like throwing everything away and just keep on starting new or getting frustrated with it, which is what so many people do.
Yes, I see that all the time. Totally. Where it's like, oh, I made this course. I launched it once. I didn't actually test a whole lot. And now that didn't work. So I'm going to create a whole new program from scratch. Like throw it all away, start over, do all the heavy lifting. Because every time you're creating a new funnel or a new program, you're in that heavy creation process of, you know, being behind the scenes and not necessarily having income if that's your first offer. Yeah. So I'm curious, what are some of the other like big mistakes that you're seeing coaches and entrepreneurs making in this funnel Facebook ad area?
Yeah. So I think the biggest ones are not putting time and money into the visibility brand awareness piece. Like I can't say that enough. It's like ingrained in for all of our clients, because it's so important, especially as this space gets more competitive. The people who consistently put out content and actually promote it so new people see it and like put time into the value and money, because you have to spend money for people to see it. It pays off so much to put that value out there and to be like an, you know, leading person. And, you know, ultimately you want to be everywhere. You want to like dominate the industry. And so by doing that and consistently doing that, it really pays off. So like if you're launching, you should really be running ads all year in between launches because you're doing value in between to prepare for the next launch, which is several clients on that kind of model. So that's one of them. I think not knowing your numbers before you start ads is another like super common one, because I think that probably like 85% of people that come to me are like, well, what should I spend? Like, tell me what I should spend for my ad
Yeah.
spend. Give me a guess. And you never want to do that. Like, at least you need to know before you turn on ads. Video views is one thing, but ads to a funnel, you need to know, even if it's a guess, if I spend $1,000, like, what should I get out of this? Like, what am I guessing that I will get out of this? And then on the flip side, if I want to sell 50 courses, what do I need to spend to be able to do that? So like before you run ads, because otherwise what you run into is either you spent too less, or like you spent this much, but you have no idea if it was good and you weren't tracking it. So knowing your numbers is so important before you turn on any ads, and knowing like what does success look like to you in running the ads. Can set that up. You won't feel frustrated or like, I have no idea if it worked, which a lot of people experience that. And then the other one, probably going off of what we were just saying, which is focus. Like, don't throw away a whole funnel, perfect a funnel, because there's so many pieces, and I've had it happen so many times where people are like, I did this webinar and it did really well, but like now I'm bored of it. I'm going to go do a challenge next time instead. Restart it. So really like perfect that funnel and look at all of the pieces and where you can just like plug any holes and then scale it. Like scale it, because that's where it becomes the ATM machine.
It's so true. It's so true. And like, what have you seen in terms of growth when people are relaunching and testing and tweaking?
I mean, huge growth. Like I have clients who came in spending $2,000 a month and are spending like 50 grand a month now after like scaling to that. And they're obviously spending that because they're making money. So that's the goal, is getting predictable with the spend and being able to scale to that level. So, I mean, I just had a call yesterday and she was like, do you think it's possible for me to make $1 million with this course? Like she did about like 200,000 on her last launch. And I was like, yeah, like, of course it's possible. Your product's proven. So we know people buy it. We know the messaging. We have testimonials. Now it's a numbers game. That's literally all it is how much do we have to spend to get here and be able to scale it.
Absolutely. And it's like, if somebody's willing to put in 50,000 in ads, like that feels like a big number for some people. But if you're making $100,000 a month back, well, great. You just doubled your lottery buy. So I'm curious too, in regard to messaging, what are some of the things that are important in regard to that? I know there's a lot of nuanced things within Facebook ads, things you're not allowed to say, especially for health and wellness coaches. When it comes to business, you're not allowed to talk about income. You can't use the word you too much. So what are some of those things for people who are just getting started?
Yeah, it's really tough because like people ask me, is there a list of
right?
Say, right? I'm like, I wish there was. The problem is that Facebook's like grown so much that I think, they've got like a mix of bots and algorithms in there that will disapprove and approve ads. And then they have manual people who are coming in and doing it. So it's not fair. Like it's not even across accounts, because I have accounts where like nothing gets approved in it. And then others where it's like, how did we get that approved in there? Like we tried it. So yes, they're like, the biggest thing is in the weight loss space is claims. So you can't say like, you will lose this much weight or you will get this result, or even speak to conditions. They're really big on that, like claims. So you can try and shift it around to like how I did this, but again, sometimes they won't approve it. Right now, they've been really, really strict. And like the biggest thing we've been doing is going onto their live chat, which you could Google like Facebook live chat, and asking them to manually review ads, and they'll go in. Person will go in and review it for you and like approve it, or they'll tell you this is why it's getting unapproved, because it's really frustrating. Like they'll unapprove ads and they'll just say like a very vague thing or like a completely wrong thing of why they unapproved it, and you're like, what? This is not promoting an opportunity or whatever they're saying. So if you go in and chat with the person, that's like been the best way right now, because they are just like, I think their bots are very heavy. And you want to avoid getting like a bunch of unapprovals, because then your account kind of gets flagged for that from in their little system, and so then they'll start unapproving a lot. So it's kind of like a game, but if you can stay away from you and claims, money claims, weight loss claims, especially, and then in the MLM space, they're really sensitive with MLM anything. So you don't want to get flagged because you can get a lot approved. I mean, we run ads for like Ray Higdon, right? Who's all, doing tons of anything in the network marketing, but we have to be really careful with it. And we have to be careful that we don't get a ton of disapprovals because then we get flagged for our ads.
I'm curious for that. What are they particularly not fans of?
Money making opportunities, basically. Yeah. So,
okay.
And they are starting to really look at even the landing pages sometimes. So click that and they will, they'll flag links. So we've had to like just change the link to get anything approved because they've like blacklisted the link. Yeah.
Whoa.
It's fun, but
but this is so valuable because there's people sitting there going, why? I don't have anything about weight loss or an opportunity in my post, but they're not realizing that it's the link that they've attached. And on the front page of the link, it's like, this opportunity, make $1 million, whatever.
Yeah, so they will now look at links, and if you get it disapproved because of a link, like you have to change the link because it's been like blocked in their algorithm. They even have outsmarted Bitly. We used to do that, like Bitly the link, and now like they know the redirect, so you have to change the actual URL if that is what has happened.
Damn, they're getting smarter. So it's like, what do you see in the next couple of years happening, not just for Facebook ads, but for Instagram ads, Instagram story ads?
I think it's going to become more heavy. Like Instagram is going to become the more leading place. Right now, we already do run, like, again, coming down to testing, do Facebook and Instagram story, like test all the things that you can when you run campaigns. But Instagram stories are converting in many of our clients as the top ads. They actually just made it too where you can do a 60-second. So you can put together chains of Instagram stories. You used to have to just have one 14-second video, and those are doing really amazing. So that, like, definitely Instagram, but the key is being Instagram specific. So that means like your images need to be square and your Instagram story ads need to be formatted for Instagram story, not just selecting the placement and running them there. So Instagram is going to get more heavy. You can retarget Instagram followers, like all those things. And I think more and more people are using things like Instagram stories. I mean, I know I love Instagram stories. Like I just watch those more than Facebook Lives anymore. So
same. It's like, where's your time and your attention? And I'm like, oh, I'm literally spending my entire day looking at Instagram stories.
Yeah. Yeah. And then getting really creative with the creative piece of your ads. Like we'll do GIFs and like we've used various apps that there's one, I think it's called like Kiri Kiri or something. It adds like sparkles to your images. And so then it makes a little video. But whatever you can do to stand out, because it's going to get more saturated and competitive. But if you can stand out with your creative piece in your ad and not just do a standard boring ad, you'll already have that advantage. So that's what we've done a lot, especially in the last couple of months for our clients.
Yeah, because I imagine as it's getting more competitive, especially this time of year, the holidays, it's like every single company, I feel like this year more than ever, and maybe I'm just more aware of it, but I feel like I've been bombarded with like nonstop ads. So it's getting more expensive, more competitive. So I think that's so important for everyone. Like, don't just duplicate what's already out there because you're already behind.
Yeah. And be, really like be unique to you. Like I always tell people that there's lots of templates and things and strategies out there, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't feel good to you or feel like your brand, don't lose sight of that because you'll be able to tell on video or in the messaging or like it won't feel right.
I'm so glad you said that because that's one of the biggest things that I preach, because especially working with so many network marketers, they are given quite a few templates and use this structure and this system, or even people who are going through online courses or Facebook ad courses and using templates, make it your own. And I would love for you to even talk, like niching it down, like how valuable is that for running ads, for having a niche? Because that's another big thing that I talk about.
Having the messaging speak. I mean, you should understand who that ideal person is that you're targeting, both from like targeting perspective, but messaging too. So you can speak to them because you're not speaking to everyone. Like if you do that, you're going to be in a hamster wheel forever of trying to make it work. And so I love like thinking about every time you say yes to like everybody, you are saying no to other things, whether you see it or not. So getting really specific with who you're targeting and who you're speaking to, and you want to be polarizing so that like some people won't resonate with it. That's good. Then you're doing it right.
And even with like haters on ads, people are like, well, my gosh, if I run an ad to this and I'm, there's polarity in my message and people don't like it. Honestly, it's like, great. The people who love you will come out in your defense and it'll add more engagement to that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I'm curious, do you have any last tips or nuggets for people who are just kind of getting started with this? Any last words of wisdom?
I think I say this on a lot of interviews, and that is just like go do Facebook Lives. Like if you can start doing that and start
On
just,
a
like,
business page.
yes, on a business page, just start doing it because you'll be so glad that you did in 6 months from now that you've been building up this fall. I mean, there's so many like benefits to it from the audiences, but also you practicing on video and getting good at video if you plan on doing webinars or things like that. And you'll learn so much about like what people are responding to and what videos they liked and what felt right for you. And then on top of that, you can use the video view audiences and you can create the lookalikes and create the following, because the people who play the long game and are building a brand, like a real brand and a real business, not just the funnel piece, but they're building the entire following, are the ones who are ahead and are really seeing success.
Totally. Absolutely. Thank you so much. This was so insanely valuable. I know that everyone listening to this is going to have some serious notes taken from this episode. Thank you so much for being here. Where can people find you and connect with you?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. My website, Hirsh Marketing, HIRSH, no C in there. Everybody see. Hirsh Marketing is great. We release like a monthly marketing report that tells you all the updates on Facebook. I've got my own podcast, so you can find that all there. You can go check that out.
Amazing. Well, I will link all of that up for you guys so you can go and check it out, and have an amazing day. Thank you again. It's so great.